not to spill it. Prop the tube up in a slotted block, spring clamp, or other support. Remove the cap of component A and wipe the tip with a clean white cloth that has been dampened with denatured alcohol. Squeeze a small amount into the white cloth and wipe the tip clean. Sometimes a blackened substance will come out first, and you don't want that in the adhesive. Use a tube wringer or something similar to help squeeze the entire contents into the plastic tube. Next, screw the special applicator cap on firmly. The best technique for mixing the adhesive is to insert the tube into an orbital sander and mix for 45 to 60 seconds. After mixing, trim the applicator cap just below the hard white tip. Then squeeze out a small amount of adhesive and wipe the end clean. Apply the adhesive by starting from the back of the joint, moving toward you. Fill the joint 1/3 to 1/2 full with adhesive, keeping the tube vertical. Fill it all the way out to the edge of the seam. Push the sheets together to squeeze out some of the adhesive all along the joint. There should be a continuous bead line all along the seam. Be sure the dams are not caught in the seam. Now you're ready for clamping. Attach the bar clamps and tighten them using equal pressure. The hot melt glue blocks help prevent over-tightening, since the blocks will pop off if there's too much pressure. This technique will help produce the desired paper-thin seam. Don't use pipe clamps to squeeze the sheets together. They can over-tighten the seam and possibly squeeze out all the adhesive, causing voids and weak spots. Let the seam set for 45 to 60 minutes. You'll know it's ready when your fingernail won't leave a dent. Remove the clamps. The blocks and hot melt glue can be easily removed with a sharp putty knife. Use one with rounded corners to prevent gouging the corian. Solid seams need solid support. Reinforcing strips of corian are the right way to give seams the support they need. These strips should be at least as thick as the material you have joined. Cut strips of corian on a 45-degree bevel to a minimum width of 2 inches or 50 millimeters. The reinforcing strips must be long enough to extend to the edges of the seamed sheets. Sand the strips to minimize nicks and tool marks that could act as crack starters. Remove excess adhesive from the back of the sheet and sand until fairly smooth. Use only corian joint adhesive to attach the strip. Use a liberal amount of adhesive to prevent any voids or dry spots. All joint areas must be fully filled with adhesive. If a thick edge is used, the strip must butt into the thick edge, and all joint areas must be fully filled with adhesive. Clamping the strip during glue-up is not required, but you may want to clamp it for convenience. In the final installation, this strip must be supported from below by the front and rear edges of the cabinetry or by some other means of structural support. This procedure can also be used to reinforce seams in cutouts. In cutouts, only one end of the reinforcing strip requires support. Now you're ready to begin finishing your seam. If the situation calls for dust control, use a block plane to remove the adhesive bead. Otherwise, block plane off a small starter edge and use a router on skis. Smooth the joint with a random orbital sander using 100 to 120 grit paper and a foam pad. This helps remove scratch marks and any excess adhesive. Remember, when changing grits, wipe the corian clean to speed up the finishing process. Finally, buff the entire surface using a Scotch-Brite pad under the sander. This gives you a uniform matte finish. To help control dust, you may wish to invest in a sander equipped with a vacuum. There you have it, an inconspicuous seam. And you can have one every time when you follow the procedures you've just seen in this video. As you know, your seams have a big impact on the success of the overall job. And your skill and craftsmanship in seaming will help assure your success as a corian fabricator. In this video, you'll learn 4 basic guidelines for making cutouts in corian that will make your job easy and trouble-free. The tools you'll need to do the job right. The step-by-step procedures of making a quality cutout that will please both you and your customer. And special procedures for cooktop cutouts. The 4 basic guidelines for making successful cutouts are